quite a little bit. One of the things that Canton can be very grateful for is they took care of this as though you were the mayor of the city. And I think the gospel says that we are to care for the least and the lost. And so I think the whole town of Canton looked after Max. I'll take just one more story of it. When he saw us going down the river one day, he came up with a half hour. That's something I'm going to do. I said, well, Max, if you fell out, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could get you out. If I fell out and drowned, he said, you tell everybody I died happy. He was so happy, and we got him in the canoe, and we went up and got him, and we took him out. And he saw an old bottle floating down there. He wanted that little bottle, so I had to get the canoe over, get it out. It was some kind of a liquor bottle. I don't know what it was. But he wanted that as a souvenir. So when I was taking him home after we unloaded that, he went down Main Street. He was drinking out of a bottle of electrical things that were driving down the street. So he had a sense of humor. And of all the citizens in Canton, I'll never forget Max. And I'm glad I'm going to be buried next to him when I'm gone.
For those don't know, I'm Bob Rudebush. Paula and I, in fact, it was 40 years ago this last summer, we came to be the summer youth worker. Sterling Wenzel was the pastor then, if you remember Sterling and Esther. We loved Esther. Remember one time she corrected, Sterling was doing a children's message, and she said, Sterling, that's not how it goes. And so then she proceeded to tell him how to do the children's message. Remember her. What a great heart. So anyway, the reason I got here is because I wrote a letter to Reuben Job. I was doing a youth pastor work in Iowa Falls, Iowa. And I was going to go to seminary, and we wanted a summer job. And so it kind of worked. Reuben said, hey, Canton was looking for somebody. And so we came up and we interviewed, and they had us stay for that summer. And so we think about that kind of being the formative summer for us, because I had grown up a Lutheran, and in the United Methodist system, then you had to have a church home to sponsor you in the ministry. And so, of course, I didn't have one, and Canton became that. And so we are eternally grateful that you all kind of adopted us at that point. That summer, we lived 4 or 5 different places because there were just, I don't know how it all worked out, but we kept moving around and our stuff kept getting moved because I think something happened. And Sterling and Esther were going to be gone for like 2 months, and then they ended up coming back, and it was kind of an interesting journey. But and also out of that, my brother-in-law and sister, Bill, where are you, Bill? Oh, there they are over there. Bill was in 6th grade, and we were just reminiscing last night about, we had a camp out, and he and Jeff Schwartz were always getting in trouble. That's all that's kind of how that worked. Later on, he met my sister Paula, and so Pat Rudolph always would say, we're now Jewish relatives, because we're related. Also, one of the memories I have is meeting, obviously, Betty Ann Everhart. We can never forget her because she was the rock of the church, and she would meet children, everybody, kind of like Max. Betty Ann was the one who did all the work, and in fact, our first anniversary, we spent at her house. She had dinner and cake for us, and so we always grateful for her. Just her way of encouraging and strengthening people. In fact, I remember the youth group came to Denver for our graduation from seminary. And so that was another kind of a really neat piece. I don't think it was a mission trip at all. Maybe it was a mission to try to help me or something. But anyway. And then, interesting enough, 10 years later, Cabinet asked me to come to Canton to be the pastor, which is kind of highly unusual. And it was fascinating. My sister and Bill were getting married that year. And I remember her calling and saying, "Now I understand you have to talk to the pastor who's coming so that you can help with the service." And I said, "Well, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to be the pastor there." So that kind of was one of those other God moments. But Paul and I talked about how we really lived life. Our life had a lot of life milestones when we were in Canton. Our son John was born here at the Canton Inwood Hospital. And I remember all of our kids were born on the 9th. And Dan Heineman, who was the doctor, and also Dievik, Margaret Dievik, she was late getting to the birth. And Dan, I remember saying to Paula, "Well, don't worry, it's not the 9th yet." So we had to wait till after midnight for the doctor to show up. And our two girls, of course, Katie and Megan, they learned how to sing. We did the butterfly song. I don't know if anybody remembers us doing that, but that's kind of one of the things they remember. Megan remembers, when we talked about colleagues helping, Rod and Doris left this great garden. I mean, we're talking, it was one of the best in the city. And they had raspberry bushes. And our daughters always remember going for snacks to the raspberry bush. And also Bud Ulrichson brought them and showed them a dead possum just to let them know that this is what a possum looks like. And so our daughter was in Florida, and she said, "You won't believe what came across my security screen. It was a possum." And I knew it was a possum because I learned what a possum was in camp. And of course, we did our trustee items. Let's see, we had to re-rig the bus with the preacher switches so the bus wouldn't burn out when Pastor Bob was driving the bus. And of course, I was up in the attic of the back of the narthex one time, and for whatever reason, I missed a step and went through the. Luckily, we got it all fixed before anybody knew when they came back to church the next Sunday. But that was. So we did a lot of good work just because of trustee work, just because I was breaking things and ruining things, and so. However, we started to apply, the plan for the addition. Then that was kind of a great period of time, and just was talking with Mark and Jan Howland. They apologized for not being here, but just wanted to send their greetings. They're going to be with their mom next week, and so. But it was great having them follow and be a part of that whole process of building the addition. We also had we had auctions. If you remember, we had those auctions all over those periods of time. Disciple Bible study. We really did a lot with that. And of course, I have an Easter sermon that I do. Does anybody remember this? I do a cartwheel at the end of it. That went on for about 3 or other churches, but it's not happening anymore. So that ain't happening. But in fact, I did that Easter sermon, and I was at a Rotary thing the next day, and they asked me to do a cartwheel because they didn't believe I could do one. So, but like I said, we had a lot of family experiences. Paula's parents had some illnesses, and so they were in Sioux Falls, and we just look at Canton as our home church just because of those experiences of living life here, even though it was for a short period of time in the pastoral sense. We've always been connected over those years with youth and young adults, and of course the choir. And I feel bad that they were dumping on you about how old you were, but I guess we're all getting that age is what's happening. So, but. What a joyous occasion, and it's just good to be here, and Paul and I are just honored to call this our church. Thank you.
Well, I would like to congratulate Canton United Methodist on 150 years. I remember 10 years ago when we kind of had a prelude to when we had 140, and that was a good time as well. And Bishop Kesey was here, and Randy Cross and a few, and that was a good weekend as well. And I also want to extend greetings to you from the First United Methodist Church in Yankton. And they celebrated 150 about 2011. So it's an exciting time as well. One of the things I want to share is I want to thank you for welcoming this transplant from Iowa. You didn't know what you were getting, you knew nothing about him, and so on. And you seem to welcome us with open arms. And for that, we will always be thankful. All three of our children were married while we were here. 2 of them were married in the church. We had 4 grandchildren that were born while we were here, and baptized them in the church. Trying to think what else. Graduated from high school, a couple of them, all 3 of them from college. So a lot of defining moments in our life relate back to this church. One of the things, and I think Bob mentioned this about Bud Ulrichson. Now buckle your seatbelt. When we first moved here, he stopped by the house and he asked my wife, "Are you Norwegian?" I don't know where he was going with that, but anyway, he wanted to make sure he knew. But he always told me that it was too far to walk and too close to drive, so he couldn't come to church. And then he wanted me to put up a red light on the north side of the church and have it on when I was in, so he didn't have to walk all the way into the building and I was gone. Another thing was he asked me one day about 4 o'clock if I wanted to go down to the Black Angus and have a pop. Well, little did I know, I was going to be bellied up to the bar. He's on one side, Don Anderson on the other. And that was their 5 o'clock hour. You know what I mean? And there I was in the middle of them. So I learned a great deal from those 2. And the final thing about Bud was one Sunday morning, he calls and he is just swearing up a storm. And he's talking about he liked to do those turkeys, you know, and smoked turkeys. And boy, the cussing was just coming out of his mouth. "Aren't you going to come and get me blankety blanket, blah, 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 blah." And I said, "Bud, do you know who you're talking to?" He said, "Yeah, Eric Holman." I said, "Bud, this is Reverend Ron." There was dead silence for a while. And then he says, "Oh." Well, there's a lot of good things. One of them especially is One Way Up. That really got started when we were here, even before that, because, you know, we used to have about 4 or 5 of us on a Sunday afternoon doing services, and that was great. And I'm excited that you are still welcoming our oldest son and his family, and so thankful they could be a part of this great church community. I think about the men's breakfast that started on the Wednesday mornings, and we would go to the cafe and all that. That was super. I think about the scholarship that the United Methodist Men started, and helping kids to go to college and all of that. Those were all good things. But the one thing that really stands out to me is when we lost 2 lovely young ladies from our church back in 2000. They were hurt pups. And this church family, I just came together in such an enormous, generous, loving way. And I want to thank you for that. That will always stand up. I do want to share a story with you, just as encouragement for the future. And as most of you football fans know, we're in the midst of the pro season. And my Bears place your Vikings, some of you tonight, and I'll be watching that. But I shared this story in another context years back in our church, but I think it applies to what we're doing here today. And it was about a pro football team that got into the playoffs for the very first time in their history. And when they were playing their first playoff game, the first half, they would play lousy. They just couldn't do anything right. And as they're going off to the locker room at halftime, they're thinking, boy, are we going to get it. Our coach is going to lay into us. He's going to really give us you know what. So they're sitting in there waiting, and he's not coming, and he's not coming, and he's not coming. And finally, he arrives. And they think, oh boy, we better buckle our seatbelt because we're going to get it. And he walks into the room, and he looks at all of his players, and he says, gentlemen, you have a great second half inside of you. And that's all he said, and he walked out. Now, why do I say that? Because I believe the Canton United Methodist Church has another great 150 years inside of it. Amen? Amen. And you need, in order to make it great, we got to stop looking in the rearview mirror, and we got to start looking out the windshield to see where God is going to take us. Your best years are not behind you. They could be ahead of you. Okay? So keep looking out the windshield. Amen? Amen.
I served this church as a youth counselor underneath the tutelage of Bob and Paula. I came to Canton United Methodist Church because Sterling Wenzel listened to the Holy Spirit's promptings. The day that Boyd and I were moving into a acreage out north of town, he showed up. It was just the prompt I needed to come back to church. You know, after being gone from church for about 11 years, it was scary to walk through the doors and walk up those steps. But there was a smiling face there to welcome me. That's the hospitality that's within this congregation, and that means each one of you. So I am grateful for Sterling and his faithfulness. I'm grateful for your faithfulness. And during that journey here with you, Bob taught us a song when he was here, taught the youth through the song. And now I can't recall it. You wouldn't want to hear me sing it. But so that lingers within me. It'll bubble up you know how songs are, they bubble up every now and again. And then Rod came, and Rod provided the spiritual nurture that I was seeking. And I might not have known I was seeking it, but he had to go on a retreat. It was actually at the parsonage that now is no longer, but that's where we were. It was one of Maxie Dunham's books. And it was during that time that I was discerning whether to go into the ministry or not. The call really had come back in Iowa when I was a youth at 15, and I was in my late 20s now. And so I was working with the youth, Craig Stearns and I. We were the youth directors, and happy to see some of you here that were in that group. I'm glad you're still around the church. Yeah. And also during that time, while I was discerning whether to go into the ministry to serve the local church, Jean Clover, another member of this congregation, was discerning at the same time. And so, remember the day that you all sent both Jean and Barb and Boyd and I off to seminary. What a great gift you gave us. You celebrated our presence with you. I think Barb's here, right here. Yeah. And that was a really important time. I'm grateful for to be blessed by your faithfulness through the years. And the mystery for me of being a pastor is this. I was talking to Deanne about this. You're about planting seeds of faith and sharing the faith, sharing how God is part of your life, how you experience God's love with the congregation. And you never know. You never know really if it matters. I hope that you all do keep sharing the faith because it mattered to me and still matters. This is our home church in South Dakota. We're so grateful. Thank you for inviting us to be part of this today.
A place and grace and a purpose. So as going into my tween years and high school, it can be hard to know where you belong. And one of the things that was so valuable to me was knowing that I had a place in this church. Our youth group was always a group that I knew were my people. And so I'm thankful very much for having that place with them and all the things that we did together, riding on the big brown bus to various events, to rallies and camps and retreats. And some of my best memories are from sitting in the back row of church, why our parents let us all sit together in the back of church. It was beyond me because we would pass notes and we would giggle, but no one in church ever said a word to us. There was a lot of grace offered. So you provided a place, you provided a lot of grace. Thank you for loving us, even when we were being a little bit naughty in the back of church. I still remember the grace offered when our youth group was serving at the soup, supper, and pie auction that we used to do to raise money for camp. And I spilled a hot bowl of soup all over someone's lap. And I don't know if she's here this morning. I actually can't remember who I dumped the soup on, to be honest, but she was so kind and gracious. She never said a word. Nobody got mad at me. And that's just one of many examples of all the grace that was offered to me as a young person in church. And that matters because I've seen where grace is not offered to young kids and they'll walk away. But you didn't do that. You loved us the way that we were. So I'm thankful for the grace that you offered and the place that you offered and the purpose that you offered. Janelle Schwartz and I were talking this morning. I remembered when we were growing out of the being ministered to where we started to step into sharing, and we were helping with VBS when we were in high school. I don't remember how old we were, maybe 15 or 16, and we were teaching the littlest kids, and we were sitting next to each other, and I remember one of the little kids said to the other something about we need to do what the women told us to do, and Janelle and I looked at each other, are they talking about us? But I guess so. So that was my first experience really of sensing that we could not just receive, but that we could also give. And also having that experience on the big brown bus for worship caravan with Pastor Rod. That was awesome. And just having that experience of offering something for other people. So I'm so proud and happy and thankful for everything that you've given and allowing me to call this my church home. So thank you.
I have a letter here that I would like to share that was written to our church and our community. This is from Pastor David Oxleason, who is one of the 14 people that have gone forth from our congregation to serve the Lord. It's addressed to the Canton Methodist Church, Pastor Steve Seabarth, Lee Stearns, 150th Anniversary Coordinator, members and friends of Canton United Methodist Church. Grace and peace to you. I praise God for you and the 150 years of ministry that you are celebrating as a congregation in service to God's people in Canton and the surrounding area. God is so very good. As I enter my 24th year of ordained ministry and my 5th year of service at the First United Methodist Church in Parkridge, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, I remember fondly my first years at Canton United Methodist Church, singing in the children's choir under the direction of Mrs. Sterling Wetzel. She was great. She got all the kids singing and she also makes cookies. From an early age, I remember the church's care of its youngest members, especially as I reflected on my failure to recite from memory all the books of the Old Testament, as Mr. and Mrs. Swartz so patiently taught us to do. Someday I will remember them all. A few years later, the church was blessed with Pastor Rodney Gist and his beloved wife Doris. I found myself in the youth Sunday school led by Bob Schultz, held in the parsonage, and our youth meetings in the evenings with Craig and Lee Stearns. What a blessing to receive the care, wisdom, and faith at such a young age of these wonderful adults, including the Reverend John Burkenhaus, and one of the dearest people ever, Lynette Hardy, for whom I am forever grateful for her mentoring and kindness to my mom and family. The United Methodist Youth Fellowship offered me the opportunity to grow in leadership skills, faith, and friendships with Reverend Deanne Hardy, who we call Dee, Tim Reed, Renee McMurray, Eddie and Chris Carpenter, Bill, Robin, and Julie Schultz, and so many others. At Canton United Methodist Church, I grew to know God's grace and goodness as practiced by the faithful of the church. Mission experiences, district and state youth rallies in Mitchell, our worship caravan with rock and rod to area churches, and the Black Hills, and wow, is the big brown bus still around. So many memories that fill my heart. I greatly appreciate Reverend Gist leading me through confirmation and consideration of my call to ministry as I made my way to Dakota Wesleyan University and on to Garrett Evangelist Theology Seminary in Evanston, Illinois. Pastor Gist provided years of support to me in ways that have preserved my faith, given me hope in a time of personal crisis, honored my professional ministry. He remains a source of encouragement to me even after all these years. I thank God for your pastor, Reverend Steve Seabarth, too, who was my candidacy ministry mentor in the early portion of my ordination journey. Steve helped me identify my calling and gifts, and his wise counsel provided helpful direction through the process. You are blessed to enjoy his ministry for these years. As the congregation enjoys this 150th celebration of ministry, please know how much I treasure the time I spent in that church as a youth and child. I gave my first devotion at a youth group meeting in the basement. I preached my first sermon from the pulpit. I gave my first public prayers in the sanctuary. I was conformed among you and set forth in ministry with your blessings. And I am forever grateful in Christ's service. Pastor David blessings.
I want to take just a moment to thank all of you for the outstanding hospitality that you've extended to Shar and myself. It's been a joy to be a part of your 150th anniversary celebration. I feel a little intimidated coming up after listening to the witnesses that you just received from previous pastors and pastors who have grown up in this congregation. What an outstanding group of leaders that you have been blessed to learn from and who have served you, but also what an outstanding group that you have sent forth. I think you should just give them all a big round of applause. So when I got up, Shar said, be sure this is shorter than your sermon. Can I get an amen? Yeah. and it will be. So here's one of the things I do when I travel around, and I'm deeply blessed to be able to visit churches all across the Dakotas and Minnesota. But I make a little mental list of people or groups that I meet that I want to invite to be a part of the church I'm going to start when I retire. So I just moved one way up to the top of that list. But the other thing I do is I have a little checklist kind of in my head that I run through to make some assessment about how healthy a church is. Want me to tell you how you did? Huh? One of the things I look for right away is there a joyful spirit in the congregation? And there is. Amen? Yeah, so check. I mean, you can feel it in the music, you can feel it in just the way people were interacting with one another. I look for the koinonia, the quality of the relationships people have with one another. How long it takes them to get out of the sanctuary. How long they linger and visit. You pass that test. Check. That's great. I look for whether or not Jesus is at the center of your preaching and your singing and your prayers and all that you do. Because Jesus is the foundation upon which we build the church, is the rock, the solid rock upon which we build the church. And that was so evident today. Check. I look for, and a couple of people mentioned this, I look for purposefulness. Does the church have a sense of its place and its purpose within the community? Its mission, if you will. And you have that. Check. I look for hospitality. Are you just friendly to people, especially the stranger? And you did that in spades today. Check. And here's one of the things that's always on my list, but I find it so seldom. And that is, does the church have a legacy of raising up the next generation of leaders? Does the church have a legacy of raising up the next generation of leaders? One of the reasons the Canton United Methodist Church is a great congregation is because you have found the way, and I think Deanne probably said it best, by providing a place of grace and a sense of purpose to young people. You have found a way to raise up that next generation. 14 persons that have gone into vocational ministry. Now, I think what you need to add to that, and I'm going to ask you to raise a few hands, you need to add to that all the lay persons who go about their work within the life of a community day in and day out and do it because they know that they're serving the Lord and God's people. Now, how many of you out there are also called to ministry? Yeah, lots of hands. You understand that just because you don't go into vocational ministry, you are in ministry. We are in a little bit of a crisis as United Methodists in terms of raising up that next generation of leaders. When I started ministry in a long time ago, 76, back in 75, 25% of all of the clergy in the Methodist Church, or the United Methodist Church at that time, were under the age of 35. 25%. Today it's 5%. Now you couple that with a tsunami of pastors that retire way too early. Not going to mention any names, just saying. When you combine all of that, we need churches who will understand that part of their mission, part of their purpose is to raise up that next generation of leaders. And so I just wanted to take just a moment, thanks Steve for giving me a moment, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for what you have done to contribute to the vitality of leadership in the Dakotas Conference, and encourage you in these next 150 years to do so with the same kind of intentionality that you've demonstrated in the past. And you know how to do this. That's what's so exciting. You know how to do this. You know how to extend that grace. You know how to make sure that young people have a place. You know how to make sure that folks begin to understand that they are called by God. They have a purpose in life to live out their faith in ways that make a difference. So thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you today. Thanks for all that you have done to serve this community. And especially thank you for that great legacy of raising up that next generation. Many of them are right here in this room. And we simply celebrate that once again today. Thank you.
We are blessed today to have with us as our guest the organization and group from Dakota Wesleyan University called the Highlanders. And they're gonna finish off our program for us here this afternoon. And so I'd like to just introduce their director, Clinton Desmond, and Dakota Wesleyan Highlanders.
Thank you. It's an honor and privilege to be here performing for you. This behind me is the Highlanders. This is our audition-only ensemble. So these folks are all part of our large 48-voice Wesleyan choir, which is our big non-audition ensemble. But these folks auditioned to be in this group. They're our main touring ensemble, so we do a lot of performances such as these all throughout the state and across the country. And we're going to perform for you. I apologize because we probably brought the rain today because our concert is all water music. Our concert next Sunday at Dakota Wesleyan's Homecoming is called Rivers of Living Water. So all of our songs are about either rivers or rain or something water related. So I apologize if we please the water gods because they definitely brought the water today. Let's hope it stops though. So our first song is called The River. It's a contemporary a cappella song. Enjoy.
Wider than snow, going, going.
song called Gather at the River. If you've seen the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou by the Coen Brothers, you'll know this next tune. It's Down to the River to Pray.
Show me the way.
of living water. The tune, not livers of, that was different. The tune is called La Quiparle, which is kind of north of us here in Minnesota. But it's a beautiful Native American melody, and I think you'll agree this is just really a gorgeous tune. Rivers of living water. We're going to get a little secular on you here, but you're going to love this tune. This next tune is a Canadian folk song that lists very quickly and rapidly all of the rivers in Canada.
Follow
My personal favorites. At first, I have to admit, I picked this song out. I thought, that's really cool. I would like it. First couple of weeks. We've only been rehearsing this for about 5 weeks now. So I thought, I don't know if I like this one. And then about halfway through the third verse, I was like, oh yeah, this one's real cool. So this is Rivers of Delight. It's a spiritual, or kind of a gospel tune.
Sing
an African praise song now called Kuwana Wangi Pi. The words are basically, thank you, Lord, for the rain. You brought us the rain. We are blessed because you brought us the rain. I know we might not be blessed to have all this rain right now, but when this song was first composed back in the 80s, they definitely need the rain in the continent of Africa. Secular, but about the rain. So the next song is a Ecuadorian pan-type melody. Singers have no words; they just sing lulus and lalas. But it's the melody that you hear on pan-pipe. And then we'll do the traditional folk song called Africa by the folk group Toto.
Do 12:30 flight. The wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some long forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. What's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I become. So we're going to do two more songs for you here to finish out our set. The next one is, you probably never heard this one. It's from a Bollywood movie called, I don't know what the movie's called, but the song is called Barso Ray, and it's by a composer named A.R. Rahman, who has been called like the Andrew Lloyd Webber of India because he's a prolific composer and all his songs are big hits and everyone loves him in India. So we're going to be singing in Hindi. And there's some percussion added, but it's all about how much we love the rain, and how much we need the rain. I'm so sorry, folks. I picked this music. So anyway, I picked this music back in June. So little did I know. And then we'll close out with the famous Carly Simon tune, "Let the River Run" from the movie Working Girl. So it's been a pleasure singing for you all today. Our homecoming concert is next Sunday, so a week from today, 2 p.m. in the Sherman Center at Dakota Wesleyan. So if you'd like to hear more from this group, our big group, our collegiate handbell ensemble, the only collegiate handbell ensemble in North or South Dakota, or our men's and women's groups, come on out to Wesleyan next Sunday. So thank you very much and enjoy our last two pieces. Na
edge, running on the water, coming to the edge, running on the water, running to the edge, running, coming to the edge, running on the water, coming to the edge, running.